Hello, everybody. Welcome to Popcorn Planet. I am Andy Signore, and today I am tackling the topic of ProJared. For those of you who don't know who this person is, he's a YouTube gamer, pretty popular, had over 1 million subscribers, and then lost over 250,000 of them pretty quickly due to charges, harsh charges, actually, as well as infidelity, preying on his fans. Needless to say, he went through a lot, but yesterday he dropped a video really sharing some receipts, as we call them, similar to my own instance, that has connected him to me, and I thought gave me a reason to talk about this. If you aren't familiar about him, I'll give you a little bit of recap. For those of you that are, I'm going to get right into it. Before I do any of that, though, I do want to use this opportunity, since these stories are so closely related. I wanted to make sure I could promote a project that's incredibly important to me, that's relevant to this topic of attempting to cancel culture. Regardless of what you think of Jared, there are so many stories out there where people jump to conclusions, especially on social media, and destroy lives. And so that's why I've put together this project, Hugging the Cactus. We have a few days left. I would be grateful if you'd look into it. You can go to uncanceled.com or look me up on Kickstarter, look up Hugging the Cactus. The link will be at the end of this video. It's also in the description. But we're so close to reaching our 10,000 goal. And what that'll do is allow me to release a new series where I'm able to go out and find these stories of people who deserve paths to redemption, who were canceled. And there's more to their story than when it was alluded to by the press who took them out. There's so many things, and you can watch the trailer to sort of get a better taste of it. Some heartbreaking stories there. The Kickstarter has some great tiers and everything else. If you don't know my story, you can learn about it there. But please, if these types of topics are important to you, I really urge you to go check that out. I'd be grateful for your support. Now, getting to the topic at hand, for those of you who are unfamiliar with ProJared, I do want to sort of give you a quick recap. He is a gaming YouTuber, pretty popular. He had over 1 million subscribers, and then obviously lost them overnight. And he's now fighting back with a new video that is basically announcing that you've been lied to. And the video is pretty intense. He does drop a lot of information, but it also begged some questions still for me. As someone who's been there and had to do something similar to what he did, I do see some things I wish he had also done, and I want to get to all that. But before we do, for those of you unfamiliar, I thought this video from Bernie Text really recaps everything so concisely and beautifully. And if I'm not just trying to steal his work, please, I'm going to link him as well. Go watch his video if you want to know more of the background. This is sort of the best 16-minute version that's more updated, and he actually challenges things more than some of the other earlier recaps. So let's get his initial setup of what happened, and then I urge you to go watch the rest at some point if you'd like to know more.
On May 8th, Jared announced on Twitter that he and his wife, Heidi would be filing for divorce. In his statement, he requests that viewers respect their privacy, and he hopes that they can both exit the marriage with style and grace. He also writes that, "This is all I plan on stating publicly regarding the matter." Things would change quickly, however, when Heidi responded by revealing that Jared had blocked her just prior to making the statement, and then revealed that the divorce had actually occurred as a result of infidelity. In stark contrast to Jared's vagity, she revealed that Jared had been cheating on her with Holly Conrad from October to December 2018. Things became even more heated when fans began accusing Jared of soliciting nudes from minors. All of this created a narrative in the first few days that was so powerful that to this day, many still believe the image portrayed of Jared. And, as a result, he suffered significant losses. Over the span of only a month, ProJared lost nearly 250,000 subscribers, severed his ties with Normal Boots, and had dozens of explicit images leaked onto the internet. This is what people believed, and many to this day still believe, to be the truth. That ProJared is a pedophile who groomed his fans, who not only cheated on Heidi, but also abused her. At the time, it seemed like a fair assessment, but in retrospect, how reliable were these accusations?
Now, I urge you to go watch the rest of the video. It's a great piece by, again, Bernie Text. You can look it up, The Tragedy of ProJared, and the link's in the description. But that sort of sums things up really well. And then yesterday, after several months, a few months here of just silence, there were other, Bernie there breaks it down. There were some more back and forths between Jared, his ex-wife Heidi, and the woman that he was accused of being with, Holly. There was a lot of sort of drama there throughout this period where they all sort of made their own comments. And this is where things do get weird for me, because look, what someone does in their personal life, it's none of our business. It's just none of our business. Now, when someone who's also a public personality is your partner in life, and you wrong that person, she has every right to respond publicly for her own image, to tell the truth. But there comes a point when two people are airing their drama in public that you're opening yourself up to the criticism and the things that happen. And so it's hard to then be declared a victim on either side when all you're doing is airing your dirty laundry and trying to get the attention that you want, and then be angry when you're getting negative attention that comes with it. When I see the first response from Jared and he attempts to just move on, clearly I do think he was doing it in his narrative, and I think Heidi clearly has her own narrative. The truth is probably somewhere in the middle. Let's be honest. Divorces are brutal, and I don't even want to get into trying to guess what happened in their marriage. It's, again, like I said, none of my business. But this got more complicated when his, the love triangle happened with this other person, Holly, who she's accused Jared of sleeping with, who worked with him, who she then came out to defend. This stuff just made things more complicated, to be honest. Holly overshared a lot of information and got more involved. And then the reality was Heidi was not being honest either. Jared admitted that they were in a polyamorous relationship, that Heidi had been in other relationships as well. Again, none of our business. It's so much personal information, but obviously does provide background when these people are public figures that you're trying to defend yourself and you want to tell your story. But again, it just muddies the water so much that, this is all just, he said, she said, with so much emotion attached that it's hard for me to believe either Jared or Heidi, because they're clearly very, very hot in this. They're very upset. There's clearly betrayals, and I believe it could be both sides. It's usually not just one. And so that's what we have to be careful of. And so as Holly and then Heidi didn't reveal that, yes, I approved our polygamy. Now, obviously, polygamy doesn't just give a person a right to cheat on you. There are boundaries in polygamy. Weirdly, I'm not a polygamist. I have no interest in going there, but I've met them here in Florida. Florida is a hotbed of just sort of different types of people. And I've had conversations I'm like, that seems weird. Why would you be in a polyamorous relationship? And it's always kind of an interesting conversation. And it's just like a monogamous relationship. There's still honesty. You have to respect boundaries. You have rules. You tell people what you've done and the partners you have. So, Jared and others just sort of saying, well, there was polyamorous that justifies it. No, that's not an excuse. At the same time, though, polyamorous relationships, again, through people I've met and so on, does tend to complicate things. It opens up doors to relationships that are more complicated. Miscommunications can happen. Confusion can happen. And I absolutely believe, again, somewhere in the middle, that, boundaries were probably crossed, potentially both ways. And really, it's none of our business. But the fact that they come forward, and especially Heidi, who I just want to respect and not even get involved in this. I see the messages she's receiving, and I think it's unfair, and people should leave her the hell alone, and people should move forward. At the same time, it's like Heidi just keeps hitting and just has to keep being involved in the conversation. And the only thing I will admit to Jared is I don't see him yet. He's brings it up when he has to respond to what she says, but he has not gone as hard on the offense against her. He says what he says. He believes what he believes. And honestly, that's sometimes the best you can do. You're not going to agree in a divorce. It's not how it works. Anybody who's been through a divorce knows how freaking complicated it is and how emotions can take things out. And it's really hard to see both sides. You're angry. There's betrayals. There's broken trusts. It's tough. So my point is, with all three of them just bringing this out and Heidi and Holly still engaging, it just makes me go, what is happening? Stop talking about it. It's too much. I understand the right to defend oneself, and I believe Heidi does have, I'm sure, a lot of truth in this too. But there comes a point where you just got to stop punching. You got to move forward. You got to let him say his piece, you say your piece, and then you move forward. You can't just keep constantly bringing it back and attacking. And so that's where my biggest struggle of this whole story comes, because look, is polyamorous weird? I'm not here to judge. It's not my business. Is that something I would do? No. Is there people that do it and do it okay? Yes. But again, like I said, it blurs lines, it muddies waters, it makes things more complicated. And I think that immediately makes this a little different than a traditional relationship. So we have to judge it a little differently. We have to react to it a little differently. So all that's important sort of context to get into. Then now Jared comes forward with his response, which I want to get to. This was how he starts the video. And I want to talk about this because another interesting thing as I watch this is I just can relate to like people are judging him on the way he's sighing and the way he looks and how he starts it. Everything is now, up for debate and ridicule. But let's watch this because I do have thoughts.
Hey, it's me. And I was lied to. And so are you. It's been a tumultuous last few months, to say the least. And I don't know how else to describe what I watched other than sheer disbelief. For those of you who are unaware...
So he's going to go into his whole backstory, but that whole opening to me was prepared. Now, I'm not saying this to judge him or to call him out. I mean, I prepared mine. That's how you do it. You have to prepare. This is something that's going to be seen forever by a million people. It's going to define your future. Of course you prepare. But I don't personally like when you pretend like you're not preparing. To me, that's a choice one would make. I tried to, when I did mine, I was very upfront. Here I am. I'm saying my piece. I didn't do the or the reaction. By adding that, there's a little bit of a performance to it, right? And I sense he's sort of doing that, or he's trying to be himself is what this is. But the point is, I can see why people would challenge, is this sincere right out the gate? So you got to be careful when you do these types of videos of, yeah, look, it's okay if you prepare. You should prepare. This is your life at stake. There's a lot of stuff on there. So whether he did or not, I don't know, but I can see how people are, a little off-put right out the gate with just a harsh, you were lied to, out the gate, I was lied to, because I think, it's more complicated. And I want to get into a couple of the portions of this video because rather than watch the whole thing, there was a few that affected me more. Here, particularly, he breaks down what happened.
What this all came down to was people saying that I was exchanging nudes with fans on Snapchat and Tumbler. And a lot of people want to know if I did any of that. Yeah, I did. And I always made it clear that it was for consenting adults only. This came about when...
Now, right there, again, I'm not trying to judge the guy. I'm just trying to open why we have, some people challenging this. What he said is fair. He has every right to do that. But he says it a little cocky. There's an attitude to it, right? And my frustration is just like, come on, man. Yes, you're right, but is that okay when you are, on Nickelodeon?
Babe Carano
it's like,
and Kenzie Bell. Yup, these are the two 7th grade girls who are currently tearing it up with their hit game, Skywell. They made over a couple of $1 million.
Look, this is why we're reacting. This guy did well. This guy's on Nickelodeon for kids. And now we're learning, oh, yeah, he's sexting out and has a Tumbler where he just talks to girls and they can send nude photos. Oh, yeah, make sure you're 18. It still alludes a kind of a weird, more mature person than he's painted to be. So I think that right there is reason for us to be confused and upset. I think that's why people were upset with me. I was a family man who was then flirting with people, and that's not cool. I have tried to make sure I've come forward and shown my remorse for that. And I think that's why a lot of people, and in fact, I know this, people have told me I can see that change, and I'm grateful they have. But this is still very fresh for Jared, and I think he needs more opportunity, more time to grow, because even in his own video, he admits that, he talks about a power imbalance and how this was unhealthy behavior. He shouldn't have been doing this with his fans. And that's important for him to come clean on. At the same time, you got to show a little bit more you got to be a little bit more apologetic if you mean it. It's a tough balance when you're making one of these videos, because I absolutely relate to him being angry. I absolutely believe that the charges of the sending sexting minors was inflated. And in fact, let's get right to it. As I click on this right button, here we go. Let's get to it.
But they still chose to only show carefully selected and carefully cropped images.
These are the two accusers that he's talking about.
Me look as bad as possible,
Charlie and Che,
to mislead you. For example, if Charlie would have shown the very start of our messages, you would have seen where Charlie lied. To clear up the immediate confusion as to why my screenshot has a different profile picture for...
So anyway, here's what he's talking about. What he's saying sort of doesn't matter. The biggest issue and what he's been most accused of is that he was going after underage minors, going after minors and encouraging it. And this is pretty definitive evidence that no, he was doing this. And he makes a point that this was part of his thing. Now, is it cool that he has this Tumbler where he's just being naked with his fans? Whole separate topic. We can get to that. But the biggest charge that I think should have and was destroying this person's life was this idea of he's a pedophile. He's going after young fans. That's completely unacceptable, and that angered everybody, and that made everyone distance themselves from him. And he has every right to be angry that didn't happen. And that sometimes that anger can cloud the rest of what you need to sort of respond to, because you need to get that out of you. You got to respond to it. And I'm glad he's able to respond to it. I wouldn't be sending news if I wasn't, is what this person's doing. This person clearly knew, and he's right.
3 months ago,
the internet just tore him apart for this. Even beyond that, for the infidelity, but then on top of it, he's asking minors for photos. That's a horrendous charge, and so that's part of the reason I wanted this video is to help defend him from making clear, like, clearly didn't do that. There's clearly a lot of evidence now pointing to the contrary that says this was questionable. And fans were figuring this out. That Bernie guy, others were putting together pieces to sort of show, wait a second, don't just read the headlines. Who's actually charging him with this? Where's the evidence of it? And there wasn't any. Now, the evidence that really did come forward, though, was the fact that he was in this weird Tumbler thing. And I want to go back to this piece of it because he goes into a little bit more depth on it.
Numerous people had asked me about it and wanted to know if it was okay to do.
To send him nudes on this Tumbler page.
That it would be a safe place for people who wish to express themselves in that way and for me to express myself in that way.
So this is what he's talking about. And he even says right back there, this idea of, are you sex positive? Someone asks him. Clearly, Jared is into sex. Look, that's none of my business. But where it becomes questionable for people and the audience is when you're doing it with your fans. The reason this is connected to me is because and I'm trying to not make this about me. I want to make this about him, but there's relations that I want to also just delve into because it's like this power imbalance, as he calls it, abusive power, other people call it. It's something I've really wrestled with because a lot of people say, well, no, you're allowed to sleep with your fans. Like that's how rock stars get with groupies. But then there's the obviously other side of the coin, and people are like, well, no, these people look up to you. You're portraying that trust. And I actually see both sides, and that's what made this complicated. To me, what makes it bad is the intent. Are you doing this maliciously? Are you actually just doing it to try and get laid? Are you doing this predatorily to just get your jollies off? Or do you actually enjoy these fans and you're trying to find a relationship? For me, it was really bad because I was married, and that's where things, went off for me. Like that's what I shouldn't have done. And I shouldn't have clearly upset and betrayed some of my fans' trust. And that really genuinely hurts me. That wasn't ever my intent. And I think Jared's trying to say the same thing here of, look, I created a platform where it was a private platform. People could find me there. And if they wanted to engage with me like that, they were allowed to. This was consensual adults. I made it clear, 18 plus. Look, that's not going to be okay with certain people, no matter if it's consensual or not, is the bottom line. But did he force anything? No. Was he asking for things? No. Was he demanding things? No. Is it weird? Maybe to you, to some people. It's a little weird to me. But again, that's not really what this should be about. To me, the main issue was he soliciting to minors? At the same time, though, it's still a little confusing because I get hung up on this. Like the dude's on Nickelodeon talking to kids, 7th graders, and he's got a place where 7th graders could stumble upon this and lie about their age. Asking, are you 18 isn't sometimes enough, dude, if you're going to start doing sexting. That's where things are a little bit more complicated, and I think he should know better. He tries to explain that. I'm like, oh, yeah, well, I could have asked for IDs, but then I could have doxed them. But he's justifying a lot versus understanding the real problems. And, while he's admitting it's healthy behavior, he sort of glosses over that, and I think that's where my struggle with this is. It's interesting because as the thing, I lost my track of where we were, but as the video progresses, one of the comments specifically asks if his wife is in on it. And here I just found it about do you know that he does this? And she says, yeah. And she specifically says, do you share the nudes with Heidi, his his ex-wife, wife at the time. And she says, the fact that I get this question all the time tells me that people expect me to be upset about it. Jared can post whatever he wants on his Tumbler. It's not hurting anyone. He's not cheating on me. He's just a funny guy making funny jokes. And I think this is where I sort of stand in a way, because this is his wife, who's gone on record, mind you, to sort of really put him on blast, and even says, this fan says, think of the fact that her being public, the wife, exposed Jared soliciting children for nudes. That justifies going public. And Heidi then says, thank you to legally cover my bases. I didn't specifically bring the underage allegations against him. I just suspected he was being inappropriate with fans. But yes, these allegations are public now and would have faced the consequences regardless if I said anything. This is important because she's basically not denying it, but she's not encouraging it. And this is where things are dangerous, because she encouraged this behavior. She did it, whether she wants to acknowledge it or not. And that's why this topic is complicated. She wants to play the victim, and I think she has a right to in certain points. But she also needs to understand, she created this bed that they both lied in. You can't say it's okay for him to go on Tumbler and then suddenly come back and attack him and say, well, yeah, see, you were inappropriate with fans. Which one is it? Which one is it? And that's the problem here. That's what proves that this whole topic and everything about it is just a little not, I think, fully being told to you. I think Jared has a very good points that he says in this video, and it's very important that you watch his video to get a better sense of what's happening and what's truth and what's not. And so that's really where I stand on all of this. He is a figure that was on Nickelodeon that has young fans, and that alone should, to me, where I'm trying to separate things I did, I'm not trying to compare myself because I don't want to. We're different people. I don't know what he did. I don't know the guy. I don't even want to try to judge the guy. I'm basing it off what I've seen. I don't think he was soliciting minors. At the same time, I think he was creating a place where minors could stumble into, and he could see and neither would know. And that's still dangerous. And so you need to be a little bit more careful, Jared. You need to be more apologetic for people who are upset about that, because that is a bad thing. That's not okay. Now, do I think you cheated on Heidi and were you sleeping with Holly? None of my business. I don't care. It's not anything to do with me. That's between you and them. And if you did that, I hope you're remorseful, because that's not cool. And if Heidi is lying, I hope you are remorseful and you should just leave them alone. To me, the drama between Heidi and Holly and Jared, it's too much. To me, Jared hasn't been hitting Heidi as hard as Heidi keeps hitting Jared. And to me, that's weird. If you don't want to be attacked, if you don't want to be in the narrative, then just say your piece and move on. It's clear he's trying to say his piece and move on. It's clearly that relationship was toxic. Some people are going to always think he cheated and did all these things, where even regardless what proof he said, he's going to have to pay that price forever. But now with the personal drama, it's enough. It is absolutely enough. And Jared, says that like, oh, I'm sorry that this is no longer interesting you, but this affects me. People are harassing me. I believe him. The internet was just brutal to him. And granted, he opened it up when he sent out his nudes and created this Tumblr page. And you got to understand, when you do things on the internet, it can come back to bite you. Karma is a bitch. So you got to be careful what you put out there. And so do I feel bad? A little bit. At the same time, you reap what you sow. So I feel for him in that really criminal charges were put against him, and I'm happy he now has a platform in place to respond. I'm glad audiences are giving him that second chance, because I think he did apologize. He admitted it's unhealthy behavior. I do hope and wish he gets a little bit more into it. He has opportunities. I would love to talk to him, honestly, and if he has nothing to hide, why he would be afraid. I'm not looking to sandbag the guy. I'm sure he and I have a lot of connections that would be able to make it an interesting conversation. So I'd love to open invite Jared, reach out to me privately, whatever it comes into my DMs, stays in my DMs. But if he's open to having that publicly or privately, I'm down, because I think we can both learn from this. We can both help each other make sure we don't make those unhealthy mistakes again. And I think we all need to do that as a community. Because look, I think while we're saying, yeah, see, Jared was innocent. He was innocent of that one thing, but was I fully innocent? No, I still betrayed my family. I still made some fans uncomfortable. Those are things that I'm still trying to get through. I have people telling me, stop apologizing, Andy, move forward. And I am, and I'm going to. You have to. You can't apologize your whole life. But, you need to also grow and see what you did wrong. I'm grateful in a way for the time I've had in between what happened to me to learn and really grow. And I think it really made me be able to handle everything that happened to me much stronger, healthily, mentally, everything. And I think he's still a little fresh in this. So I hope he takes this new, boost that he's getting back and doesn't mess up again, and understands the weight and seriousness of what's still out there, of this creating this sex Tumbler was still, not the best thing. And you got to understand a lot of people are still upset, and you didn't show a lot of remorse in that video. You were very defensive, which is your right. And I understand why he was. I don't want to try and knock him further. I completely understand that, but it's a little bit of both. Are you remorseful? Or are you just angry? Because, I believe you're totally angry, and I actually believe you have a right to be angry, but we got to see the growth, man, to move forward and support. And I think you can get there. I believe in him. I hope he sees it, and we all need to give each other opportunities to do that if we better ourselves. So that's where I stand on all this. It's complicated, like I said. I hope some of my insight helps. I do wish Jared the best. I wish Heidi the best. I wish Holly the best. I hope they all can just move forward. I understand why this is hard, and I beg everyone, leave them alone. Oh my God, just the abhorrent messages of people. You lied to her. It's gross. It doesn't matter. Leave her alone. And granted, she's asking for it in a little way by just constantly fighting him, but I understand why she is. She's a right to be angry too. And if she was betrayed, I don't know. Maybe in her mind she was. It makes sense why she's angry too. And these people that are angry, let them stew. Leave them alone. Let them do it, and just don't engage. Don't just take someone down because they're angry. You don't know the full story. We don't know the full story. I believe them both in a way, because I think both people can tell a story and there still can be a mid-ground that's the truth. It doesn't mean either of them maliciously were trying to hurt the other. It just means it wasn't meant to be. I don't believe he was maliciously trying to hurt his fan base either. Did he make some mistakes? I think he did. But he did acknowledge them. I hope he acknowledges them a little harder in the future. And I hope we can move forward from this issue. So that's where we stand. What are your thoughts? Do you think I'm overreacting? Do you think I'm reacting spot on? Please comment down below. Be sure to subscribe, hit that little notification bell. And like I said at the beginning of the video, I'd be grateful if you'll support our Kickstarter, Hugging the Cactus. It's our last couple days. We're so close to our goal. And I'd love to talk to Jared and just more people like him to have these conversations, these tough conversations, so we can learn from them. If we can't have dialogue, we can't actually change, and we can't make the place that we live in better. Canceling people is not the option. We have to educate. So thank you so much for listening to me. Have an awesome day. I'll be back live tonight in a couple hours live, so tune in, and we'll be here all week. Thanks so much. Have a great day, everybody. Bye.